Hi, everybody. This is Kathy Madsen, and today I'm here with Dr. Rebecca Moland to talk about Calmer Canine and her experiences with her clients using the product. Dr. Moland, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Kathy. I live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I work at VCA Palmetto Animal Hospital. I've spent 7 years in between emergency medicine and general practice, and I'm pretty happy here. I like living at the beach.
Well, yes, I would love to be at the near the beach every day.
Yeah.
So, tell me a little bit about why anxiety cases are so important to you.
So I had a very sad pup myself. I think, as most of us in the veterinary community do, we wind up with the weird guys that require a lot more care, just out of being unlucky. I had a dog named Grim that I saved he was probably 6 months old, not very well socialized. He had been kept in a kennel, and by that 6 month window, if you haven't socialized them very well, they wind up with quite a few long term issues that require long term care. He was on a litany of medications to make him as happy as he could be, to tolerate my long working hours. He used to have to come with me to work. I couldn't go grocery shopping without leaving him with someone, or he would hurt himself or hurt my couch, which has a giant hole in it, thanks to him. But he ultimately had a panic attack, even with all of that stuff, and passed away, and it was terrible. And until that point, I hadn't really experienced just how bad anxiety could be. And from seeing it from my own boy's perspective and how he truly suffered, I think that, getting on these things early and doing everything we can to help these guys live as normal of a life as possible is so vital.
Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that. It's just heartbreaking because those severe cases, you can try everything that's
Yeah.
out there and still feel like this isn't enough, and how do I get some effective treatment going?
Yeah.
Which leads me into Calmer Canine. How did you originally hear about Calmer Canine?
So I had a coworker who went to a continuing education event, and she was wandering through the kiosks and, being grabbed by this person and that person, take this free t-shirt, grab some pens. And CC Animal Health was there with their anti-inflammatory loop. And so they kind of talked my coworker into, trying this thing out. She's got a pet with arthritis, and she was like, okay. And she came to work and talked to me about it, as we often pick each other's brains and things like that. I have a personal cat who you may see in the background named Dorian, who has inflammatory bowel disease, as again, we are all very unlucky in our own pets.
Mhm.
Um, and his is well managed with diet, unless we do something stressful. So something changes. He is going to vomit 7 times in a row, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. So I tried out the Assisi loop myself before, having tried it on a client's pet, and it is the only thing that will stop his inflammatory bowel disease flare-ups from doing these 7 vomits in a row. He'll still get one out before I catch him, but then it really helps to keep it under control and well managed. And from there, I've kind of extrapolated. We are an emergency clinic that is open 24 hours a day. So we take care of a lot of pancreatitis cases. We see cats with urethral obstruction. We see broken bones, hit by cars, gunshot wounds, all these things that can benefit from inflammation, treatment. And so we brought it into the hospital actually when our hospital manager's dog slipped a disc in his back and was paralyzed. And we used it in conjunction with acupuncture and oral medications and physical therapy. And he's a walking dog now. And from there, we've been able to encourage clients to incorporate it in their treatment plans. So I heard about it that way. And then you guys actually contacted me to see if I was willing to give Calmer Canine a try, because I was already familiar with the idea behind a loop affecting care. And so we have a technician whose dog is very nervous in the clinic, has a lot of anxiety related to being away from his owner, being exposed to noises and things that he perceives as scary. So he was the perfect guy to try that out on.
Fantastic. So when you first heard that there was this new product, Calmer Canine, that was the same technology as the loop, because of your history and success with the Assisi Loop product, did you feel pretty confident in the new product, or what were your first kind of feelings and thoughts about that?
So I actually looked into it a little bit because, we're always a little bit wary when we hear things that can sound too good to be true. And it looks like this was somewhat based on a human product that was already FDA approved for the treatment of depression in people. So even just based on that, with that connection, I thought it was at least worth trying out. I kind of classified it as might help, won't hurt. And it turns out definitely helps, definitely does not hurt. So it was a nice way to bridge into, but I think a lot of us do that where we're investigating and trying to figure out where is this stuff coming from? Because when you first hear about a loop affecting care, it sounds a little unusual, but it definitely is based on things that have been proven to work even in people. So I thought it was worth trying.
Yeah. And I love the skepticism that in the industry. I think it's important.
Yeah,
And that's why I think that having that research to back up everything is just great to have and make accessible for everyone.
I
So
agree.
when you heard about it, did that specific dog case just pop into mind, or
Yes.
yeah,
So Um, I think it's our technician Alexis Marino's dog, Riggs, who we've known him for about 2 years. She moved from Canada. We snatched her up. She's amazing. And we met Riggs very early on. She would have to keep him in our very busy treatment area where he could see her. She would have to put him in a glass front kennel so he wouldn't hurt his teeth. And all he would do all day long during her 8 to 10 hour shifts was pace and pant and pace and pant. And the previously very beautiful glass kennel would just be a smear of saliva. And he would be covered. He's a soft coated Wheaten Terrier, so he's got a beard, and
yeah,
it was a disgusting beard. It was not cute. But we were concerned about him. So, it's something that we always kind of stuck with. But he was on fluoxetine, he was being given trazodone, he was on gabapentin, he was taking things that were appropriate to help manage his stress and anxiety, and it just wasn't quite cutting it for him.
yeah. And besides the medications he was on, was she also trying to do any counter conditioning, desensitization, or was it all really management for her? Because luckily she could bring him to work, but even there he was high anxiety.
I think she
So
had attempted some things, but most of us are not dog trainers. So I think it just wasn't very effective. And we give up very easily when the things that we try aren't working.
right.
And it's easy to kind of fall back on pills as the answer when often, it's the bridge. So I think that where we fail is trying things without reaching out for the appropriate professional help. So she was trying to make things reasonable for him, but there were things that she couldn't really train out. So things like gunshot wounds and fireworks that are unpredictable. He would react to things like, diesel engine trucks going down the road. It was difficult for her to find a way to associate those things with positivity, and you don't have to be scared because they were unpredictable, and he would just panic.
Yeah, I mean, just the noise anxiety. I mean,
Mhm.
startling's normal, but it's
Yes.
the coping mechanism. How fast can you bounce back from that? That's really
Yeah.
tough. And when you can't predict it,
Yeah.
it's hard to just counter condition. So, and then even with the separation anxiety being away from her, the training protocols for that are really intense,
Yeah.
and then they take a long time. So,
They do, and, she was at the point where, she was pregnant, she was, having a baby, things in her life were changing. She worked long hours with us overnights. Her husband is a police officer. They both have crazy schedules. So it was difficult for them to, in their, normal schedules, implement, an aggressive intensive care plan for counter conditioning.
right. Yeah. And I mean, and part of that is absence suspension, where it's like, hey, never leave your dog alone.
Exactly.
Oh,
So
okay.
we tried, to manage him the best that we could, but he just needed a little extra help.
Yeah, definitely. And so how were they feeling, especially if she was expecting a baby?
Yeah.
Was she really worried about having this anxious dog and then introducing a baby into the situation? And what was her quality of life like? Was she going to make it work no matter what? Or what was her plan?
Thankfully, she was gonna make it work no matter what. You
Mhm.
know, she's been with Riggs, I think 10 years now. So he is the family.
That's great.
So she was gonna have it work, but I think she had accepted that this was going to be her life and that there was going to be reduced quality. And that's just what it was, because she didn't know that it could be better. So for her, it wasn't like longing for the scenario where he's going to be the perfect dog. You know, he's perfect in his way, but we have to treat him differently. And she had accepted that. So she had, you know, started considering these things, you know, as the pregnancy progressed, worrying, you know, is he going to be panicking all night, waking up the baby, waking up them? You know, they both have very important jobs where they save lives. They've got to get rest. And so does he. So does the baby. So it was something that I know weighed heavily in her mind and that she didn't necessarily expect to improve. She had just expected to deal with it and manage and try to slug along, when thankfully that's not what turned out to be true. The baby was born by the time we'd heard about Calmer Canine. And Riggs was always, you know, he was okay, but he did not want anything to do with the perfect little chubby cherub, who cried occasionally. Addie's a great baby. She, you know, doesn't cause any trouble at all, which is in Riggs's benefit. You know, if she had been a colicky baby up all night long, I don't know that she would have gotten much sleep. I think Addie was 9 months old or 10 months old when we started the loop. So she was starting to get mobile and do things that are scary for dogs with anxiety because they're unpredictable. And he just avoided her. He stayed away. He was at the other end of the house, and that was the appropriate response for him. So they always rewarded him for removing himself from a scary scenario. But what it morphed into unexpectedly, because this is not why we were using the loop, we were using it for the separation, is he would elect to lay down next to Addie and just sit there and let her do her little baby thing and not have a care in the world. So I think that she was very pleasantly surprised by that change because it was huge.
Yeah.
He would be at the other end of the house if not for the Calmer Canine.
Yeah. And so when she first started the Calmer Canine treatment, how old was the baby at that point? Do you know?
I think Addie was 8 or 9 months old because
Or
she just
9 months?
turned a year, and that was in October. So she was just in the phase where she's starting to roll over, she's
Right.
grabbing things and her reach. And so that can be very scary for dogs. That's how a lot of children get bitten. That's a scenario that, you know, we see as, you know, the professionals dealing with these dogs with anxieties who have bitten someone in the home, often a child, because they don't know how to read dog body language. And because it's hard to, you know, keep that close of an eye when you have a free roaming dog and a free roaming baby in the house.
Yeah. Well, and what I love is at least Riggs is a dog who was like, I'm just going to avoid this and go somewhere else. So that
Yes, he
that
made
was
the right
at
choice.
least a great starting point to go
Exactly,
for.
because so many dogs don't. They don't know how to remove themselves from a scenario where they're uncomfortable, and then that anxiety and tension build up, and that's where we get into a life-threatening situation, not just for the baby or the family member, but for the dog. This is life and death for these dogs because if you're going to attack children, that's a problem. That can't happen for anyone's safety.
Right. And how long after starting the treatment with Calmer Canine did she notice any difference in his behaviors, whether it was in being better about settling around the baby or with those separation anxiety symptoms like the pacing, the panting, the drooling, all of that?
It was very rapid and unexpectedly so. So, a week into therapy, she brought Riggs into work for a bath. And she hadn't really updated me. We don't have the same schedule. So, I hadn't had a chance to catch up with her yet, see if he was tolerating it well. I wanted to make sure that he was, not having trouble with the vest, tolerating the angel halo over his head. And I actually saw Riggs before I saw her that day because he was in our glass front kennel in the treatment area, which is, kind of where we all head in the morning to see what's going on with our day. And he was laying down. He was just laying there watching us like a television show, having the time of his life, not panting, not covered in his own saliva. His mom wasn't there. She was in a room with a client at the time, and he wasn't panicked. He wasn't searching for her. So I was like, has he been medicated? Did we give him something? And I had to wait for her to come out of the room. And she was like, yeah, this is happening. This is him now. So it was dramatic and very rapid. I think the changes at home, we didn't notice some of them right away because some of them are unpredictable. Like we said, the gunshot wounds, or not gunshot wounds, gunshots,
Yeah.
fireworks, those diesel trucks passing by their road because they live quite deeply in the country. She started noticing those probably 3 weeks into treatment, where he was not as reactive to the doorbell, not as reactive to those big trucks driving by. And then we bridged into duck hunting season here after treatment had finished. And so those gunshots started at 5:30 in the morning. She has the baby. She was like, here we go. This is questionable. I'm not sure how this will happen. And he put his head up, gave a little woof, and went right back to sleep. So I think some of the changes we might not have noticed right away just because of timing. But there was an immediate improvement in his separation anxiety for sure.
Yeah. That's incredible within that first week to see that big of a
Yeah,
change too.
so fast. I literally thought he had been sedated.
And did she do a full 6 weeks of treatment, or how long did she do? She did full 6 weeks?
So we did the full 6 weeks. And then I told her, based on the studies you guys had done, some dogs are showing benefits even after stopping treatment. So I wanted to see how that would go for him. So we did it twice daily for the full 6 weeks, which kind of brought us to around New Year's and Christmas and things like that. He did great with the fireworks. And we kind of talked about, should we cut him cold turkey and see how things go, or should we wean him off slowly? And what we did was the cold turkey cut. And we have kind of seen some scenarios where he does get a little bit more anxious. It's not to the level where it was previously, but he has moments in the clinic now where he's sitting in the kennel, he's nice and calm, but he's looking for her. So what we're trying to do now is get him to a point where we're using it maybe once a week. To see if we can maintain that improvement. But he has certainly improved even without doing it twice daily every single day forever, which is still a very easy treatment, but it is asking a lot to do a twice daily 15-minute treatment forever. There are nightly fireworks here that we have to prepare for. So we're, talking as we're, rolling into that season about seeing if we can manage him with the intermittent protocol. But if he needs it twice daily, she'll do it twice daily. What I really love about this form of the loop is that you can replace the batteries, you can use it forever. So it's there to help when needed, and you might not need it every day.
Yeah. And it sounds like she found using the actual Calmer Canine device and then the vest pretty easy, and Riggs didn't worry about wearing the vest and things like that.
No, I think he knew that, when treatment was coming, all he had to do was sit there. Mom would put on his vest, and he pretty much just took naps. He would just sit there and let it happen. And she's, got pictures and videos of him wandering around the house with it on as well. So I don't think it inhibited his activities in any way. I think he was like, this is a weird vest, Mom, but whatever. So it wasn't, he didn't, look up continuously. I was worried about him, sensing something above his head and constantly trying to get it. But he didn't seem to care too much. He was very tolerant of the angel halo and the vest.
Oh, that's great to hear. And he's adorable wearing. I've seen those
Yeah,
pictures.
he's a nice boy when he's not covered in his own drool. He's such a good boy.
Oh. So, what surprised you the most about Riggs' case of using Calmer canine treatment? Was it the speed that you saw changes or the effectiveness, the long-term effect that it's having?
I was really impressed by how fast that change happened, especially since, with our busy lives, she hadn't updated me at all. And all of a sudden, he was a different dog. But I was also impressed really with the improvements that he made outside of separation. He's a dog that has confinement anxiety, he has social anxiety, he has noise phobias, and he saw across the board improvements in all of those areas. And I hadn't really prepared her for that. I had told her, my goal was to keep him from pacing and panting in front of the door when she left for the day, because that's not good quality of life. And what we wound up with is a dog who will lay next to a mobile, scary child who can, grab over and touch him, which is not what he would have tolerated previously. Now we can have gunshots at 5:30 in the morning, and everybody, including the baby, stay asleep. Now we can have fireworks where we don't stay up all night trying to battle anxiety. So, I think I was mostly impressed, not just with the speed, but with the depth of improvement in areas where I wasn't actually expecting improvement.
Right. It's like a bonus.
Yeah, I was really impressed because, we try to manage expectations when we're talking about things like this, especially when it can sound too good to be true. So we don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. We want to make sure that we're saying that this is what it's designed for. We're trying to manage the separation anxiety. And if we get bonus effects, then excellent. But I was very impressed with the bonus effects.
Right. And so now that you have this experience with Riggs's case and Calmer Canine, have you been able to recommend it for other cases that have come in?
I have. So we see at least daily animals dealing with separation anxiety and definitely other forms of anxiety. So, what I really enjoy as a doctor is being able to send people to the website to see videos of other people's experiences, start to finish, and the improvements that real people and real dogs have seen. I like that we don't have to be the middleman. There's a lot of distrust in veterinary medicine where when we recommend things, people are like, are you just making money off this? Have you got, some kind of connection with this company where you're getting benefits? And instead, I can say, you can purchase this directly from Assisi Animal Health. They'll send it to you. I'm just the person telling you about it. You can make your own choice, and then you have it forever. And if it doesn't work out, there's no harm done. But if there's improvement, then, you have something that can help you for life.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And then also just having that personal experience with, fellow staff members and things
Yeah.
like that, that means a lot to clients, I
It
think.
helps whenever I do get the chance to have Alex in these rooms so that she can share her personal experiences. Certainly, I share mine and how, I honestly think that if this product had been around for my dog Grim, he might not be dead. He might still be with me. So, we try so hard to work early and often on reducing these anxieties, not just to promote mental health, but to save lives. So this is something that I think is going to be key in our anxiety tool belt. Certainly, we're still going to need medications. We definitely need behavioral training in addition to this. This is not going to be a cure-all for everything. You just put a loop on and nothing else has to happen. But it's changing lives.
Yeah. Yeah. I what I'm seeing with my training clients with separation anxiety or reactivity and aggression, things like that, is I'm seeing that having another tool
Mhm.
makes the other tools in the toolkit work better and work
Exactly.
faster, so that behavior modification protocol, those things are sticking in the dog's brain. It's easier for them to learn. And then I think too is that seeing progress more quickly than they might otherwise,
I agree.
it increases their compliance with
Yeah.
future treatment, but then also it's just that positive reinforcement for the people, and that's so important that I get that for my training clients,
Yes.
because then they stick with it and they feel encouraged, and so any kind of tool like the Calmer Canine that makes the other tools and approaches work even better, I'm just super excited about to have as an option, so
We are too. We deal with a lot of scrutiny when we're talking about medications to help manage anxiety. So I think that a lot of people are interested in pursuing treatment options that are not just another pill that you have to give every single day, that then we have to do blood work every 6 months. We have to see you every 6 months. So I think that a lot of people will be interested in at least trying it out because while we will still need some degree of medications in a lot of cases, we still definitely need the behavior modification training. The loop might be able to reduce the amount of rescue medications we need for panic attacks. It might reduce emergency visits where, in a thunderstorm where a pet would have jumped through a window or, broken through a wall, gets to rest comfortably and be relaxed at home. So I think that this is something that in this day and age where a lot of people are trying to limit oral medications because they're worried about side effects, I think that they'll be interested in trying this out.
yeah. And was Riggs on any anxiety medication before Calmer Canine?
He was. He was on daily fluoxetine at the highest dose that he could tolerate. And then intermittently, we would add in trazodone and gabapentin to help manage situational anxiety. Or if we knew a big thunderstorm was coming, because again, we live at the beach in the summertime, we get some pretty rockin' thunderstorms. So when we could prepare for those things, we would send home a little rescue kit to make sure that he at least had a chance to not wake up everyone in the house because he was panicking.
Right.
So we definitely still have those medications on hand to use as needed because at some point there's going to be something that breaks his threshold. He's always going to need management of some variety, and she has that available, but she hasn't had to use it in a long time.
Just so does that include the fluoxetine? Has she lowered the dose or just stopped use altogether?
I think we're too scared to lower the dose just yet. He's doing very well on it. So I think right now we're in the don't rock the boat, at least until we see how he does through summer fireworks, summer thunderstorms. But I think that she's open to considering it because of the improvements that he has made, that we might try to alter it a little bit. But, if he needs it, then, she's all on board at continuing it. I think what she's happiest with, truthfully, is not having to rely on the rescue medications as much because often by the time he needs those, he's already in panic mode and they don't work as well in those cases
Right.
where we have already gone into the panic attack.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, that's so great to hear about his quality of life just being better and then her quality of life being better. It's so
Yeah,
nice.
she's very lucky to have him. He's very lucky to have her, and they're a team. We're working through it. We're working together. He's part of the family, and he's going to stay that way.
I love that. I love those kinds of relationships.
Yes, they definitely complete each other.
You complete me. So, why would you recommend the Calmer Canine for owners of anxious dogs?
So I think that after having seen it with Riggs and the both expected and unexpected improvements that he showed, I am recommending it currently because I'm hopeful that when we catch this stuff soon enough, maybe we can delay the starting of daily medication. Maybe we can have a dog who might be anxious in the clinic, who might bite us someday, who then learns to tolerate trips to the vet where we do things that are a little bit scary and can be uncomfortable. It's one of those things where we see a lot of pets on emergency that have hurt themselves, that have bitten family members, that have, done true trauma to not just them, but everyone in the home emotionally, because it's hard to watch our pets go through this. This is something that can benefit a large group of dogs And we're going to keep seeing this social anxiety, separation anxiety, confinement anxiety, noise phobia. They aren't going anywhere. They're going to be there waiting for us to find them. So I'm hopeful that when we are recommending this early and often, that at least people are getting the word out, they're looking into it, so that when they get into some trouble, it's not a brand new thing. I think that it sounds unusual, so there's some doubt that comes with hearing about a loop that affects care. But it's one of those things that as long as we plant the seed and have it available to them so that they can get it on their own, they don't need to come to us. That's something that could potentially not just improve quality of life, but save lives.
Yeah, that's great. Is there anything else that you would want people to know about Calmer Canine and about the technology?
I think it's super unique. It's something that is definitely interesting to hear about. It does exist in human medicine. There are precedents both for reducing anxiety and depression, and also for managing inflammation and pain, which is really where I started with my, Assisi animal health experience. This is one of those things that is easy to research and look into. And I think that if people look into it more and keep an open mind about it, they can have benefits that they never expected to see.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Dr. Moland. It was great to hear about Riggs and your experience with Calmer Canine.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. He's a good boy. I'm very happy for his current quality of life. We're going to keep working on it. We're going to work every day to see if we can keep him as happy as possible, and we're going to work for everyone else as well.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
It's my pleasure.